I'm going to give you a straight answer to the question that everyone in Austin is asking right now. Should I buy now or should I wait? Because as you probably know, the market has changed a lot. And if you're thinking about buying, timing actually matters more than you think. Hi, I'm Steph Douglas, broker and CEO of Open House Austin. I own multiple properties here, and we've helped hundreds of people not just buy a home, but make smart, strategic decisions about when to buy and how. So let's walk through what's actually happening in the Austin market right now and answer the question that's on everybody's mind. Should I buy a house now or should I wait? It's spring 2026. Let's just start with some Austin real estate market facts that are somewhat shocking. We are down 24% from our peak pricing in May 2022. That sounds like a huge decrease. But what is not showing in that number is that we also spiked about 30% from pre-COVID times. So we're actually not yet back to pre-COVID pricing. We are still ahead of that. We're down from the peak so drastically, but we are actually seeing more of a market stabilization. The Austin market spent almost a decade in a seller's market. We have 6.5 months of inventory in Austin right now, which means we are officially in a buyer's market. This is what everybody has been waiting for the past 10 to 15 years in Austin. Days on market is right around 90 days. That's 3 months on market. Sellers are ready to sell. They're ready to negotiate. They're ready to give seller credit. They're ready to give repairs. You are getting a really clean, nice product when you're buying a home in Austin right now. Buyer energy is picking up. They're realizing that rates are not going to go drastically down, pricing is pretty stable, and they're hitting the market, and there's multiple offers on things now, but we are still effectively in a buyer's market. We're still seeing a lot of concessions on the seller side. Even though there's some multiple offers, we're not seeing $100,000 over like we were during the pandemic. So it is actually still a pretty nice and stable time to buy a house in Austin. This drop in pricing has naturally led people to think, maybe I'll just wait, maybe they'll go down further and I can get a better deal. And that's not a bad instinct. But here's what the experts are actually evaluating. At the same time that prices were coming down, interest rates have started to ease, which kind of changes the equation. Because when rates drop, more people can afford to buy. And when more buyers enter the market, competition increases. And when competition increases, prices tend to follow. We are already starting to see signs of that this spring. Nothing dramatic, but enough for our buyers to have to start making quicker decisions, and some houses seeing multiple offers. We're seeing prices stabilize and in some cases tick up slightly, and real estate markets don't stay flat for long. They move in cycles. So if demand continues to build and rates continue to ease, prices are likely to respond. Now, this is where people make a mistake. They focus almost entirely on the market and they fail to focus on the property itself. Because the truth is, the property you buy matters just as much, if not more, than the market you buy it in. Because you can find a bad deal in a great market, and you can find an incredible one in a slower market. We see it all the time. Buyers feel pressured because everyone's telling them it's amazing time to buy, and they buy the first property that they see, or they get pressured into waiving contingencies and buying a product that isn't actually high quality. But the opposite can also be true. When you have the right agent, and even if it's a slow market, there are homes that are sitting longer on the market or poorly positioned, that's where there are opportunities for buyers who know how to look at those houses strategically. That's where you can negotiate, that's where you can create value, and that's where you can make a really smart investment regardless of what the headlines are saying. So yes, the market matters, but your strategy and the house you choose matter more. Now let's zoom out for a second. Let's say you decide to wait. Best case, maybe prices dip a little bit more. But another very real scenario is this. Rates continue to drop, more buyers re-enter the market, and suddenly you're competing again for the same house at a higher price with more pressure. So that's how people end up spending $20,000 to $50,000 more without realizing it. So the question isn't just, will prices go down? It's, where's the demand headed and how is this going to affect my options? Here's where I want to be really clear. This isn't about rushing you into a decision. Because at Open House, we don't believe in timing the market perfectly. We believe in helping you enter the market intelligently. And the truth is, the best time to buy a house is when you are ready, when your finances are aligned, when your goals are clear, and when you have a strategy that actually makes sense for your life. Because buying a home the right way, that's what builds real confidence and real long-term wealth. So yes, waiting could cost you money, but buying without a plan, that's actually what gets expensive. The goal isn't to chase a perfect moment, it's to be able to recognize a good investment and be able to act on it. Right now, we're in a market where the prices are still relatively down, but the market is shifting, which means it's a sweet spot where there is still opportunity, but they won't last forever. Hiring an agent with the right mindset is key in any market, but especially in a market that has seen so much volatility over the past 5 years. If you're trying to figure out what ready looks like for you, that is exactly what we help people do every day. If you're in Austin and you're trying to figure out your next step, we host a How to Buy a House workshop that breaks all of this down in a really clear, practical way. You can use code WORKSHOP to sign up for free. The link is in our description. If you're feeling ready to take the next step, you can also book a call with one of our Austin agents. We'll walk through your situation, your goals, and help you identify what a smart next step actually looks like. And if you're still just wanting to learn the basics of buying your first home or being really strategic in your next real estate investment, subscribe to our channel. Here we are answering your questions, touring homes in Austin, and sharing the real information you need to buy your next property with confidence.